just like the suds on top, just like the suds on top. Gonna ride, 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 ride.
Good evening and welcome to Wavelength, the show where we talk to local people about local issues in the hope of getting everybody a little bit more on the same wavelength. I'm your host, Ian Butler, and I'm excited to be back in the studio. It's been, I think, 3 years since I've been in here because a little thing called COVID happened. And it's great to be here. I'm really happy about it, and especially because we have a wonderful guest tonight, somebody who grew up, at least part of his upbringing was in Pacifica, so he's got deep Pacifica roots. He went on to become a city council member in Daly City, and now he's a supervisor of the county. And he's running to be a member of Congress, if you can believe it. None other than David Canepa. Welcome to the show, David.
Ian, what an honor and pleasure to be your guest on this inaugural show coming back after COVID. I'm excited and delighted to be here.
Yeah, this station went through a fallow period there, but now we're back in action. So here we go. Kick it off, huh?
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, we're dealing with COVID, especially as a county, so challenging, right? So, you know, you would peak and then there's valleys, and obviously COVID had a tremendous impact on us. Obviously the public health side of it, but the business side of it, and you think about it, sometimes we're in fluctuation in how to deal with it, especially these issues around mental health, right? And so it's great to see you, my friend. It's great to see you flourishing.
Well, the county level is really where a lot of that stuff gets done, huh? That's where the health care is taken care of, and people that are on verge of falling by the wayside, the county seems to be providing a lot of those services. So you've been in the trenches, I guess, quite a bit with that.
The rewarding thing about my job is really we are the social safety net, right? And so if it's people looking for health care, we provide that. If there are people who are looking for benefits, you know, whether it's through our human service agency, we do all that. We actually have, we just approved a $3.2 billion budget. And one of the things I'm extraordinarily proud of is that we just earmarked $989,000 to the Daly City Youth Health Center that provides mental health for the Jefferson Union High School District. That includes Terra Nova, Oceana. Those are the things that are
my kids
really
benefited from that center, actually. Yeah. So I know it's great the work that the county does here, and I know you've been really involved in that. But now you're moving on to some other stuff, huh? We'll see. You're working on that. But before we get into the politics side, because I know you've been talking about issues a lot lately. Yeah. But let's talk a little bit about your past, because a lot of people don't know you and your Pacifica roots. So. Were you born here? Or how does that?
Yeah, I was born in Seaton, in Daly City. But however, I grew up for a short time in Crestmore Circle, which is in Fairmont. And so was really, really fortunate. My father had coached in Pacifica 30 years, basketball, baseball, but really had the opportunity to work with boys, girls. But that was his passion. Then what we ended up doing was, when I was 5, we ended up moving to Loma Vista Terrace. So for many of you who know where the castle is, that nice castle, and many of those people who live in that area would know this, the roads weren't paved, but it was a great place.
They're barely paved now. They're like the worst roads in the county, I think, right about there. So I know if unpaved, it would have been even worse, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and it's but it was a wonderful place to grow up. You know, we used to have, this is going back, you're talking about the 80s, the Little Red Store, which is now a cafe. And I went to school at Good Shepherd, and that's when Oceana, had a lot more students. It was a pretty big high school, but we'd walk from Good Shepherd onto Paloma, up the big hill, which is Mirador. But I just have so many fond memories just of hanging out at the pier, and I saw that within your intro. It was just a great place to grow up, and I feel fortunate to to have that opportunity.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed being able to raise my kids in Lindemar Valley. They were actually born in Lindemar Valley, not at Seton.
No way.
Yeah.
We'll have to
Not
talk
many
about that some other day.
Not many people can say that. They were actually born here. Yes, but so I have roots here. You have roots here, but now you're moving on. You moved on to Daly City, became a city council member there. What got you involved in politics?
I think I'm really proud of graduating from Skyline College. Skyline College just provided me a host of opportunities. I always say this. I think my first semester at Skyline College, I think I got a 0.8. And you get a 0.8 by basically not going to class. And so that second semester, I was just really inspired by one teacher. It was my speech teacher. His name was Frederick Berry, Dr. Berry.
Thanks, Dr. Berry.
Thank you, Dr. Berry. And he actually teaches in the system. He's still at CSM.
He still is, great, yeah.
But he taught me about speech and the different styles of speech. But Skyline from there really sort of piqued my interest in learning. And then from there, didn't know what I wanted to do, but went to USF and then in politics, and then was able to work through internships, then actually worked at City Hall as legislative aide, worked at Treasure Island.
City Hall in San Francisco.
City Hall in San Francisco. And so I think having that experience, and I always try to think, why am I in this? Because sometimes you may lose sight of that. I think the reason I'm in it is really because the work is meaningful and you can really have an impact on people's lives. I don't think people say, Ian, I want to call a politician today. But what my experience is that when people are in need, whether it's they need health benefits or in this pandemic, small businesses that were going under, if they need access to food because they're food insecure, or if they need housing. The great thing about my job and working for the county is making sure that we connect people with the resources they need. And so that's what I'm acutely focused on. And whether you're a Republican, whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a Green Party, whether you have no party affiliation, government and elected officials should work for you regardless. And I think that's one of the things that really is sort of a passion for me in government. I said there's two things. The reason I love being an elected official is the passion of service and the compassion to serve others, right? That's why we do this.
Yeah. Well, and you've been, up until now, you've been doing it at a level where you can really work closely with the people. It would be a little different if you were in Congress. I mean, you would be one of the, 538 most powerful politicians in the country, but also one of the most powerless, it seems, because it's really hard. They're not getting much done these days. They're not able to really, roll up their sleeves and work. It's, how do we get past that?
The one thing I think about is, and I think about Pacifica, and I think about growing up in San Mateo County, we've really lost our middle class. We've really lost that middle class feeling. It's really become a county, unfortunately, of the haves and the have-not. And I think the reason I want to move forward with Congress, whether it's supporting community college for all, whether it's supporting Medicare for all, your checkbook should not dictate whether you get health care, or whether it's looking at a Green New Deal. But to get to your question, how do you deal with people who may not believe in vaccinations, who may not believe in abortion, who may not believe in LGBTQ+? Well, I have to stay true to my principles. I have to stay true to what I believe, but it doesn't stop us from having dialogue, right? But I'm really scared for this country right now. When I look at all the rights being taken away and the schism between the different factions of people. And so what you said is, you're right, probably as a board of supervisor or even as a city council member, you probably have a lot more influence because there's only 5. There's not.
Yeah, there's a problem. You can just solve it.
Yes, yes.
Right now, you have to debate it and try to get a bunch of other people to agree with you, and then there's a whole process. It's just, it's a tedious thing, and these days it seems gridlock is endemic, in Congress. But we need to somehow get past that. I don't know how.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan, in terms of sort of their beliefs, they were polar opposites.
Yeah.
But they were able to find some sort of common ground.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that being said, when we deal with these issues, we're probably not going to find common ground, right? Like an abortion, right?
Right.
There is no common ground on abortion.
There's no
Hey,
half on abortion.
yeah, exactly. LGBTQ plus, right? But that being said, we have to fight for those rights as they're being eroded. But at the same time, with those people, I say those people, with my, my future colleagues,
Yeah,
hopefully,
yeah.
at least be able to engage with them civilly. But what's happening right now is disconcerting, and I truly believe that a voice in Washington, a strong voice, is needed.
Yeah. Well, we're taping this shortly after the Supreme Court
Yeah.
made their ruling out. Basically, Roe versus Wade is no longer the law of the land. So there's going to be some work going to have to be done to fix things. What can we do?
Yeah, I think.
What can Congress do now?
Look, I mean, look no further than what we're trying to do in San Mateo County, right? We put together a comprehensive package, and this package is for those states, such as, and I hate to call them out, such as Texas, Oklahoma.
Oh, please do.
Oklahoma, where mostly it's poor women and people of color. How are people going to get abortions? They can't.
Well, the wealthy ones can fly to California.
Exactly. And so what we're looking at is, and we've approved it, is we've given $1 million to Marmonte, and that covers all the Planned Parenthoods in San Mateo County. And so
Great.
what can we do to really make sure that we leave no one, they may not live in California, but you know what? There are brothers and sisters
Yes.
in these other states. We need to take care of them. And so I'm happy about that package that we're putting together. I think, again, Congress really has to do as much as they can. The president, if he has the ability to use the executive order, one of the things that's creative and I've heard about is using federal lands. Using federal lands, whether it's a site or location where we could do abortions, right? And whether it's in Oklahoma, whether it's a federal building, whatever it is, there are some of those conversations taking place of being creative. And so I would have never thought that Roe v. Wade would have been turned over. Never in my life.
Well, the people haven't changed their opinion. The people are still in favor of it, and it's just a minority of people that got Trump into office, which caused him to get, then Mitch McConnell and just all the shenanigans. Now we have like this minority that really is not representative of the people that are dictating. And so, we all figured, maybe if the country changed, but the country didn't change. One side kind of cheated and changed the laws against our will.
And what you talked about, and you know this, and you're tuned in, is what does the polling show? The polling shows by a large margin. When they polled Americans, that people are pro-choice, right? They want that choice.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing, and here's where I get a little bit worried, Ian, is that this is the first step. Now what's the next step?
Oh, yeah.
You think about the founders of this country. They weren't perfect, but what they always thought about was the freedom of religion. What I'm afraid of with this Supreme Court is that they're going to, through dogma, mandate religion and push that on people, and that's not where we want to go or what we want to do.
Yeah, we not only need freedom of religion, we also need freedom from religion. if we so choose.
Correct.
Yeah, because everybody has a completely different idea of what religion is. So
Yeah.
we need to not be dictated by somebody else's beliefs. We need to go by data. What helps people.
And on these social issues, you have to understand, and you understand this clearly, is that what we do here in America, it resonates throughout the world. And we've made so much progress when it's come to these other countries around abortion in particular, and then working through the United Nations. Now what happens is people see what we've done around Roe v. Wade, and it may not only set us back here, but it sets us back globally, and that's problematic.
We were a leader of the world in a lot of ways, setting the tone for a lot of human rights issues, but now we're kind of dragging the world back with us. Yeah, it does seem that way. Ever since that Trump guy, it seems. So we just recently had the primary.
Yes.
And so the way that California is, the top two voters move on to the general, and so you are one of the two that successfully made it through that hoop, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, so it's you and Kevin Mullen. How would you differentiate yourself from Kevin? You're both Democrats.
Sure.
But you have some different stands. What would you say?
I would say one thing is, and I would have never run for Congress, but one of the things that I really became sort of clear to me was managing during a crisis. I was the president of the Board of Supervisors, but really navigating this whole COVID issue, right? Making sure that people got vaccinated, making sure people got tested. Going through this crisis, it was a crisis.
It was.
It was so, it was so stressful, but I think being tested, working with the various cities, the county and its role, I think it speaks to what you talked about. We realized several things. One, public health is critical. But we also realized that there were a lot of disparities in different communities. So what do we do around Wi-Fi, making sure there's Wi-Fi access, whether you live in Hillsborough or whether you live in East Palo Alto? So I think that sort of experience, I think my lived experience, it's much different than his, right? I mean, grew up in Pacifica. My father was a chauffeur. Worked at Bank of America many years.
Oh, yeah.
I was the first to graduate from college in my family. My mom.
You're a regular Horatio Alger story.
Horatio Alger. So, but no, it's not to to feel any sympathy or so. I had a great life.
Yeah.
But I just think where I live, where I come from, and the issues that I care about, we're just a little bit different in that way. I think. I respect him. I think he's done some good work. I really do. But I think right now, this time calls for a leader who's really going to speak up on issues and really vocalize in this time of crisis, federal government crisis, where our rights are being taken away. We're going to really need someone to amplify what is important. What's important is stopping the erosion of our rights, which is happening right now as we speak.
Yeah. Well, tell me if you agree. I don't have that much of knowledge of the two of you, but it seems that you are more like closer to the people. He seems to have like the big money interests on his side. He gets the big donations, but you get the little donations, but a lot of them. And it seems like you're out there. Haven't you just been like knocking on doors all over the district and getting out there?
Yeah, just knocking on doors. We're on street corners. I think at the end of the day, I don't serve the establishment.
Yeah.
Quick story. One guy said to me, and it really hit me. He said, I don't work for you. You work for me.
That's true.
And I really took that to heart. Because at the end of the day, he's right. I work for you. And so whether it's answering a constituent call and getting back to people as soon as possible with an answer, or whether it's helping someone who doesn't have healthcare and connecting them with services. That's why I do this work. I don't do it for the clout. I don't do it for any of that. I do it because I care for the people that I serve.
Awesome. Well, I think, we probably have enough insiders in Congress right now. I think, I like those voices, like Katie Porter, I love her, like people that just like get in there and try to speak truth to power,
Yeah.
So would you do that if you get in there? Speak some truth to power.
Truth, I think truth to power is important. I think one of the things I constantly think about is my father used to have an expression, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. And I always thought about it. The second thing he told me, he was around my age, my dad was quite the character, he was 46, and he said to me, David, all my friends, they call me DJ.
Yes, I know you as DJ, yeah.
Hey, DJ, all my friends are getting conservative, but I want to tell you I'm getting more liberal. And so I've sort of think about those words. Sometimes, when there are issues or things that I see are wrong, we speak out against them. It may not be the most popular thing, and it may not be the safest thing, but you know what? It's the right thing to do. And I think that's why I do what I do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these days, income inequality is really a huge issue. And it's tough to combat income inequality when you're getting your money from a lot of wealthy donors. So, I think that's an important thing. Hey, we only have a few more minutes left, but I do want to very briefly talk about something we did years ago. As some of our viewers know, I adopted a waterfall, a very polluted creek that flows into the ocean that nobody really was noticing. And I started cleaning it up, and you heard about that, and you said, hey, Ian, can I come down there with you sometime? And as you recall, it's not easy to get to. You got to go down with a rope, and it was quite a scene. And you went down there, and you went for it, and I said, watch out for that. I know there's some trash there, but there's some mud there. And you said, whatever, and you just like went into the mud, and you sunk about this deep in the mud, as I recall, and your shoes, which were pretty nice shoes, which completely, do you remember the story?
Oh, it was awesome. First of all, it was the magic waterfall.
Secret waterfall.
Secret waterfall,
Yes.
my understanding. Sorry, I didn't mean to use the word magic. But it was really great because I was sort of inspired by you. Regardless of me sinking in the sand, I still liked you after.
Thanks.
But I always thought, wow, there's a person, there's all the styrofoam that comes off from the drainage, but someone who actually really cares to educate people, but then to actually clean it up. And I know because of what your actions have done, really cleaned the place up. But in Daly City, we took a little action, I think, on some of the traps. But
that's right.
I think the one thing that I like about you, Ian, is rather than just sit and complain about issues, you actually are proactive and get things done. And so I'm not mad at you. I I swear it was up to my kneecaps. Maybe that's an exaggeration.
I remember it was pretty deep, but I remember you laughed. Your shoes were just trash, but there was never a negative anything from you. You just thought it was hilarious, really, and just went for it. I thought you were crazy, but I appreciate it. Well, the Secret Waterfall to me is a little microcosm, because the country got all kinds of stuff going on, and there's everywhere you look, there's some problem needs to be addressed. I just happened to find one small thing that I thought I could do, and everybody can find their own thing. But sometimes somebody has to be able to take on the big picture too, and that's where I think what you're doing now. But we did actually do a cleanup in Daly City together as well.
We did.
Thornton Beach, right?
We did Thornton Beach, but I had no idea. I grew up in Pacifica. I had no idea about the secret waterfall. No idea. But when you enlightened me to that, I was just like, wow. And then how you moved around and how we got from place to place. I'm surprised we're still alive. No, I just appreciate you as a friend, and I appreciate everything you've done. Everything you've done to better Pacifica they're lucky to have you. You are a gem outside of being a friend.
Well, thanks, but this is about you. So with our remaining time, why don't you tell people how they can help out with
Sure. If you want to help out, please go to davidcanepa.com.
There we go. We have that on screen.
And then you can also you hit me up on Instagram, Twitter. We have a robust volunteer program. Please come. We'd love to have you. It's actually run by the youth. So I've been kicked out of our office about a couple times because they want to run the show, and so we let them run the show, which is great, and we have a good time. We really do. It's an uplifting, positive experience, and if they participate, they get a job reference, which is important.
Yeah.
And they also get a community, if it's school credit. So we're here to help, and just appreciate the opportunity, my friend. I really do.
Well, that's how you got started, right? We were helping out at City Hall when you were a younger man, and so now you're helping other people get started. Who knows? They'll be tomorrow's political people.
Well, let me say this.
Yeah.
I have my intern program, even at the Board of Supervisors, and even when I was at City Council, I reject no one. So we make space for everyone, because ironically enough, I was rejected by someone, and we'll leave it at that.
That's kind of mysterious. I'm kind of wondering who that would be, but that'll be for another time.
Well,
Yeah.
not too hard to figure out.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks so much for being on the show, David. I wish you the best of luck in your campaign, and may you do well. But I know that whatever happens, you're going to be out there helping people out and doing what you do. So thanks so much for what you do.
And thank you for letting me be on this inaugural show. It's an honor.
Right on. Yes, it's great to be back here at PCT. And so I want to say thanks to Luigi's Pizza for feeding the crew. I want to say, Luigi.
Oh, I love Luigi's.
Yeah.
Hey, Luigi.
And I want to say thanks to the crew for working for nothing but pizza from Luigi's. And I want to thank all of you for watching Wavelength. Remember, we're not against them. We're a forum. Good night.
Just like the suds on top. Just like the suds on top. Gonna ride, 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 ride the waves. Just like the water drop. Just like the water drop.